In the realm of horror, few things are as chilling as stories grounded in truth. While sleepovers are often filled with giggles and late-night chats, there's a darker side that few dare to speak of: sleepover horror stories. Tonight, we delve into scary stories of sleepovers gone wrong, bringing you the most disturbing tales from the shadows, creepy stories that might have you second-guessing your next night out with friends. From the disturbing to the outright terrifying, these are not just sleepover stories, but scary sleepover tales that will haunt your dreams. Are you ready for the true horror of sleepovers gone wrong? Then dim the lights, pull the covers tight, and prepare yourself, because these 3 true sleepover horror stories you're about to hear might just make you rethink your next sleepover invitation. My name is Jake, and the story I'm about to tell may possibly keep you up at night. The sun had just set in our quiet town of Bend, Oregon, and I was ecstatic to have the house to myself. My parents had gone out for the weekend, and the idea of an unsupervised sleepover with my closest friends seemed to be the perfect way to make the most of it. We gathered in the living room, pizza boxes and soda cans littered around. The atmosphere was light, filled with laughter and the kind of jokes only close friends share. The topic of prank calls came up. Tim, who's always the most mischievous of the group, suggested we take turns prank calling our classmates. One by one, we made calls. Daniel pretended to be a telemarketer, and Matt mimicked a game show host. The responses we got ranged from confusion to laughter. It was all in good fun. But when my turn came, just as I was dialing, the landline rang. The timing was so impeccable that we all exchanged amused glances. I picked up, expecting one of our friends on the other end returning our prank. Instead, a whispered voice sent chills down my spine.
"I know you're in the house."
Assuming it was a counter prank, I laughed it off, but within minutes, the phone rang again. The same voice, colder this time, said,
"I can see you."
Looking around the room, the atmosphere had shifted. Tim's face had lost his playful cheer, Daniel's eyes widened, and Matt was silently signaling to lock the doors. We tried to reason. Maybe it was just another friend playing back. But then, the voice began describing exactly what we were doing. The color of the soda can Matt was drinking, the way Daniel was biting his nails. Panic set in. Daniel, the bravest among us, suggested we call the police. I called 911, my hands trembling. The dispatcher told us to stay together and lock ourselves in a room. While waiting for the police, every creak of the house became magnified. The rustling trees outside sounded like footsteps, and the distance between the living room and my bedroom seemed endless. When the police finally arrived, they began to comb the property. The minutes felt like hours, the silence only interrupted by occasional walkie-talkie crackle. Then, a sharp knock on the front door signaled their return. To our horror, they had found someone. An old schoolmate, Rob, who I barely remembered. He had been expelled a year ago for hacking into the school system. Apparently, he had held on to a grudge against those he believed had reported him. They found him with a cell phone and binoculars, hiding in my old treehouse, watching our every move. The thought of him so close, observing us all evening, was haunting. That night changed our sleepovers forever. We still met, but always ensured our safety and never, ever took a phone call lightly. Hi, I'm Hannah, and I'd like to share with you one of the most terrifying moments in my life. As I stepped out of the subway station in Brooklyn, the city's familiar noise wrapped around me like a snug blanket. It was a typical Friday evening, but tonight was special. Emma had invited us over for a sleepover since her parents were out of town. I always admired their brownstone, standing tall and regal amidst the chaotic city life. As I approached, I could see Emma waving from her window. The lights inside painted a warm golden hue, promising a night of fun and laughter. Soon, our small group of friends gathered in her cozy living room, reminiscing about school days and planning our weekend ahead. We decided on a movie marathon, an assortment of romantic comedies and thrillers. The room grew dark, and the only light came from the flickering of the screen. But midway through the second movie, the room was plunged into total darkness. "Probably a blown fuse," muttered Emma. But then, The lights came back on, along with an eerie flicker. We brushed it off as one of those old house quirks. However, something strange happened. The TV switched our movie to a black and white feed. It was grainy, but unmistakably displayed footage of us in the living room. We froze. The realization that someone was watching, recording us from inside the house, gripped us with fear. Emma reached for her phone, her hands shaking, but it was dead. My heart raced as I remembered that my phone was in my bag. I dialed 911, whispering our situation. The operator's calm voice instructed us to lock ourselves in a room and wait for police. The minutes inside Emma's bedroom felt like an eternity. We huddled close, trying to find comfort in each other's company. The sounds of the city inside seemed both far away and eerily close. Every footstep or distant siren made us jump. When the knock finally came, a rush of relief flooded over us. The police had arrived. We anxiously held our breath and listened as they searched the house. It wasn't long before they found him, a man with disheveled hair, hiding in the basement amidst a web of wires and cameras. He wasn't a stranger. He was the former tenant of the house, evicted due to non-payment of rent and some rather unsettling behaviors. He had known about a hidden access to the house and had installed cameras long ago. His obsession with the house and its new owners had driven him into this unspeakable invasion of privacy. As they led him away in cuffs, the gravity of what had happened started to sink in. The safety and warmth we had felt earlier in the evening was shattered. Emma's parents returned, and therapy sessions were set up. But our gatherings would never be the same. That night, we learned a hard lesson about the vulnerability that technology could bring, even in the safety of one's home. Just as the darkness of these stories seem never-ending, dawn finally breaks. Don't get too comfortable though, as we have one more story to be told. But first, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to ensure you don't miss a video, as it could save your life. And if you thought these sleepover stories were disturbing, wait till you hear what's next. My name is Madison, and I'd like to share a chilling experience I once had with some friends. I had always been captivated by my family's old farmhouse in Georgia. With its white pillars, wraparound porch, and rooms filled with history, it seemed like a relic from another time. That summer, I had invited a few friends for a sleepover, eager to share the magic of my home. As night fell, we gathered in my room, recounting stories from school and sharing secrets. As the evening grew late, curiosity got the better of us, and we decided to explore the attic. It was a place I hadn't ventured into much, mainly because my grandmother always said it was filled with old memories best left undisturbed. The attic's wooden stairs creaked under our weight as we made our ascent. Dust floated into the air, disturbed after many years of tranquility. Amidst the antique furniture, faded photographs, and old clothes, Sarah stumbled upon a worn-out leather diary. The name Sarah was embossed on its cover, the same name as my friend. Intrigued, we decided to read it aloud. The entries began innocently enough. They belonged to a girl named Sarah from the 1940s, detailing her daily life, the chores she had, and her blooming romance with a local boy. But as the pages turned, the tone shifted. Entries spoke of unexpected gifts left at her doorstep and shadows outside her window at night. The boy's admiration had morphed into a dangerous obsession. Sarah wrote of feeling trapped, with nowhere to turn. The final entry was a desperate plea for help. Dated just a week before her documented disappearance, it left us all with chills. It felt as though Sarah was reaching out through time, seeking someone to finally listen to her story. With a sense of dread, we decided to search the attic for more clues. Among old newspapers, we found chilling headlines of a girl gone missing and the search that followed. Though a local boy was the prime suspect, there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. Sleep eluded us that night. We laid awake, discussing the tragic story we had uncovered. The next morning, I shared our discovery with my grandmother, her eyes filled with tears as she confessed that the missing Sarah was a distant relative. The family had tried to put the painful episode behind them, but the wounds were deep. Motivated by our findings and with the support of my family, we approached the local authorities. The diary, a first-hand account of those terrifying days, served as a new lead, reopening the case that had grown cold over the decades. While we couldn't change Sarah's fate, We felt a sense of closure in bringing her story to light, ensuring that she would never be forgotten. As the shadows of these scary sleepover tales begin to fade, remember, the night is long, and there are no more stories lurking in the dark corners. But one thing that would be even scarier is not watching another video like this one.